we have the Ambassador of Germany, His Excellency Bernhard Schlagheck, with us. Welcome to the show, Excellency.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I would directly start off with one small introduction about our relationship between the two countries. It's there since 1951. We know each other, we have recognized each other, and it's been quite a cordial relationship so far. Whether it's trade, whether it's tourism, whether it's diplomatic ties.
Great.
So, Excellency, how do you see these cordial relationship, and how do you see the next 5 years? Where will it go?
Well, first of all, I share your assessment that we have enjoyed quite good and cordial relations over the last 7 decades. We celebrated quite lavishly last year 7 decades, 70 years of the establishment of diplomatic relations with, events in Lahore, in Karachi, Peshawar, but the central event was certainly in Islamabad at the lawn of the Foreign Ministry. It's true, our relations, with some ups and downs, certainly as it's the ones in, I would say, diplomatic relations, by and large are excellent. And testament to that is that our Foreign Minister came to Pakistan early last week. I think as the first Foreign Minister paying a visit to the new formed government here, and that also was, I would say, quite successful visit, although unfortunately the minister had to cut short the visit because she contracted the virus. But she had a very good, very intensive, very constructive meeting with the Foreign Minister for over 3 hours. That alone shows the, I would say, the quality and the density of our bilateral relations. Well, there was, of course, talk about the prospects, and I think there are many. Of course, we are all under, or under the impression of the international crisis which were discussed. Ukraine, Russia, the situation in Afghanistan, situation in the region, I would say the geostrategic situation, but also prospects for our bilateral relations. We are very grateful to the Pakistani government, for instance, in assisting us in the rescue and assistance operation for Afghan vulnerable people. That is ongoing now, and we have agreed upon a climate and renewable energy partnership. So there are a number of steps to be taken, and I'm quite confident that the degree and the density of bilateral relation will remain the same, and perhaps can even be improved over the next 5 years.
Well, that's very pleasant and good to hear. Now, regarding tourism, because it's summer break, everybody in Pakistan, especially in this part of the world, I don't know about Germany, but June and July are basically holidays for school children, for college, for universities mostly. And people would like to rush towards tourist locations and countries where they can spend these holidays with their children. So how do you see tourism developing, bilateral tourism for both countries? Like Pakistan has wonderful tourist spots, one of the best in the world. Same like in Germany, of course. We would like to see the historical places.
I think, yes, that's true, but I think when it comes to nature, we cannot match the beauty of Pakistani landscape. But you're right. There are cultural sites. There is, I would say, a very rich history in Germany to be witnessed and to be seen. Yes, you are right. Tourism, that is a prospect for both of us, and I think we have to promote and foster tourism, and I think the, efforts are being made. Of course, since these countries are located in different parts of the world, sometimes it's a bit difficult or a bit cumbersome. Visa, this is one problem.
Of course, yeah. And that was my next question, actually.
Absolutely, and I know, for instance, our visa practices here in Islamabad and Karachi is perhaps sometimes a bit, I would say, heavy-handed. We have to comply with our security provisions. Then we have a resource problem. We don't have staff and resources and spaces actually available to, deal with the, I would say, with the massive inflow of applications. So we try our best, and I know that colleagues in the visa sections in both missions, here in Karachi in the Consulate General, but also in Islamabad in the embassy, they're doing their utmost to comply with wishes, with very understandable wishes of Pakistani potential travelers or business people or people who just want to see relatives, Pakistani or German relatives in Germany.
There's a big diaspora.
Absolutely. Over there. It's roughly 70,000 Pakistanis living in Germany. So we try our best, but sometimes it's, of course, difficult. There are waiting lists. But bear with us. We, again, as I said, we try to improve mechanisms. We try to improve standard operational practices. So I hope, and we are moving, for instance, the embassy from the old premises to a new building that would give more space and give ample opportunity to receive Pakistani applicants. So let's hope for the better.
You have an embassy in Islamabad, then you have a consulate in Karachi which is fully functional in terms of visa processing. Any plans to expand this? Because as you said, the number of applications are rising every day, and then there is educational applications as well, because a lot of students would learn, and that would be our next question as well, by the way.
True. Well, no, there are no concrete plans. While we attach great importance to our bilateral relation to Pakistan, we have 2 honorary consuls, one in Lahore, one in Quetta, who are basically very successful Pakistani business people. So they are covering mostly the areas of trade and business relations. They are not authorized to issue visas. So unfortunately, people particularly from central Punjab and from KP have to come to Islamabad. People from Baluchistan and from the rest of Sindh have to proceed to Karachi.
Okay.
But again, I think by and large it's a good system, but we have to, or we are grappling with the number of applications currently. But as I said, I think we will tackle that.
Oh, okay. That's good to hear that since you're moving in the new building, and I think the capacity and everything will definitely ease a bit for the applicants.
Absolutely.
And it will add value to their application process.
Absolutely.
Now, education opportunities in Germany. Germany has always been famous for its strong educational system. I know people in the last 2 decades that have gone to Germany on scholarships, with 0 tuition fees, and they have studied over there, and they're doing wonders in the world as Pakistanis. What opportunities do you think at the moment, after COVID, has now, actually it has submerged now, and the world is coming back to normal now. So what educational prospects are there for Pakistani students, and how should they proceed? Should they go directly to the university and then come to the embassy, or how it goes? Like, people are very clear about the US educational admission process.
Well, it's true. There is an increased interest by Pakistani students to study in Germany. That has to do with the quality of our educational university system, but also with the fact that most of the education at German universities is tuition-free, almost. I mean, there are some fees to be paid, but by and large, it's tuition-free. So that is, of course, an attractive package, and my suggestion would be, and indeed that is the right way to do it, I mean, to consult with the respective university where the applicant wants to study, to get an admission to the university by that university, and then proceed to the embassy for further procedures. Of course, there are, I would say, some, alternative ways. I mean, if you get, for instance, a scholarship from a respective German foundation or academic institution, then you can process immediately to the embassy or to the consulate general. But I think for us and within our system, the most important thing is to get in touch with the respective educational institution, universities or academic and scientific institutes. That is I think, the main thing to do.
That's quite clear now, and I hope Pakistani students would proceed.
No, I mean, there is also, our website is also giving ample information, particularly on that. So if you are in doubt, please consult our website.
Sure, that's really wonderful for you to elaborate in detail about that. Now, Excellency, recently there have been a lot of news about regime change, and there was a diplomat named for that from a political party in Pakistan, that's PTI, and it was quite clear. Now, my question is that I would like you to elaborate the role of an ambassador. What are the job responsibilities being an ambassador in a country, and what is the core focus of an ambassador? Because people are quite unclear now. And I think a person, a seasoned diplomat who has done such wonderful service across the world for Germany, if you can explain just to our Pakistani viewers, what does an ambassador really do?
Well, I think our main responsibility, our main task is simply to observe and monitor developments in the respective host country. That encompasses, of course, contacting, I would say, major political, economic, social players of the country. When it comes to the political field, yes, of course, I had contact with both government and opposition figures. I think this is our job description, to talk to ministers, to talk to secretaries, to talk to parliamentarians, to talk to major policy players, both on the government and the opposition side, in order to understand I would say, the logic, the chemistry in a country, but then also to reach out to societies, to societal forces. I mean, business communities, I would say religious groups, cultural initiatives, civil society, NGOs, press. We have very, very good and I would say intimate relations with journalists here. That does not necessarily mean that you see eye to eye. Sometimes we have very, I would say, testy discussions. But, I mean, that is the main thing for ambassadors to do. Then, of course, we are writing reports to our capitals with recommendations, but I stress recommendations. Ambassadors are not those who make policy decisions. That is for our political masters. We are civil servants. That is for our political masters in Berlin to do and to decide. So basically, then, of course, we have I think the additional responsibility to try to foster and promote societal, but particular business relations. I think that was very much on my mind. That is also very much on the mind of our Consul General here in Karachi, to try to help improve and intensify business relations between Germany and Pakistan. And last but not least, and that is very important to me, is to try to intensify people-to-people contact.
Of course.
Because that is the bedrock of, each and every diplomatic relation. So reaching out to, I mean, most of the people of Pakistan. I'm a bit handicapped because I don't speak Urdu, Pashto, I don't know, whatever local language there are in Pakistan. So unfortunately, when I travel by my own without an interpreter, I have to concentrate on people who speak English in this country, which is basically not I would say, the own language of people here. So it's a bit of a difficulty, but I think that is very important to also create sympathy and to some extent understanding for Germany's position, Germany's political position, but also to make sure to the people of Pakistan that we are a friendly nation and basically that there is a lot in common between Germans and Pakistani. So roughly these are the tasks of an ambassador.
Okay, I think it's pretty clear, and people must have understood exactly what's the role of an ambassador and why they actually deal with both opposition and the ruling parties at all the time, because they have to reach out to the society, they have to understand what's happening in the country and what reports they have to send back according to what might happen and what may not happen. Now, Excellency, recently, I'll just take two questions which are very important for us in the current scenario. One of them is about Islamophobia. Islamophobia, a UN resolution was passed on Mr. Imran Khan, the ex-Prime Minister's request. And then it was very well presented and was passed with majority. And a concept that Islam is a religion of peace has to be promoted. It's not Islam that actually enrages people to do certain heinous acts. It's actually individuals' acts, which happens in US sometimes. We see every day there is shooting in clubs, schools, and all of that happening. It happens in Europe as well sometimes. True. So how do you see this Islamophobia? Because once again we see that once again it is actually becoming a concept, and we are seeing incidents happening. So what is your stance on that?
Well, first of all, I think each and every act of violence and terror against another ethnicity or another religion is condemnable. Secondly, yes, unfortunately, there have been cases in Germany. I would say fringe cases, not really representative for the majority of the population, but these cases have been happening and they are regrettable, deeply deplorable. Thirdly, I don't think there is I would say, an innate, skepticism of Germans. I can only talk about Germans and, let's say, broader Europeans. Inward skepticism towards Islam in Germany. Because we have I think since the 50s, we have day-to-day experience with Muslim communities in Germany. I mean, we have a very, very large Turkish community. We have now, I mean, I said to you before, we have 70,000 Pakistani living there, among many, many other communities from the Middle East and from other Muslim countries. I think the main thing is that there is a sort of, I would say, particularly in certain quarters of society, and to some extent that's the same in each and every country, in Pakistan as well. There is a sort of, I would say, concern about to be overwhelmed by aliens. It has nothing to do with whether you are Muslim or Hindu or Jew or I don't know what, or other Christian denomination. It's simply that you are an alien, that you don't belong to the society, I would say the traditional people are coming from. So that gives a sort of skepticism. That makes it difficult. But I think this is a phenomenon that we are seeing all over the world. I'm not saying we have to tolerate that. We have to criticize that. We have to make, people coming from other parts of the world being integrated in society. But I don't think it's specifically anti-Islam. It's this feeling of being somehow threatened, erroneously, I agree, being threatened by people who are somewhat different, who have a different color of, their skin, who have a
Probably
different
that's
culture.
The reason.
That is what people major society.
I think the concept is very clear, Excellency. We are done with our segment with you. I'm really grateful that we had you in our show.